So I built this tiny house about 5 years ago. Wow, that's a long time. Finally, I've decided to establish roots. I found a parking spot on Whidbey Island. I'm renting the tiny house out on Airbnb when I'm not using it, and so I thought maybe I can upgrade. Maybe I can afford to put a porch on my tiny house, finally. I just think it's really going to improve my lifestyle in multiple ways. Let me introduce you to my build team. There's me, and Nabil, and of course, my dog Salies. My boyfriend is an engineer, so he was able to design the layout of the porch, and he went all out. I mean, he wanted to make sure this thing was structurally sound. We went and we got all the materials that we could from the local hardware store here on the island. The hardware store here is a bit limited. It's like I had to wait weeks to get the roofing panels, but I really enjoy shopping local, so I did it anyway. The hardest part of the entire porch build was definitely leveling out the ground. I was so frustrated. I didn't realize that this would take so long. I didn't even really film it because there was just so much shoveling and just getting dirty and dealing with rain that there wasn't a whole lot to show. That took us a half a day right there. It's just making sure the ground was level so that we could start the build off right. I mean, I'm used to building on a trailer. You just level the trailer. What's this whole leveling the ground thing? But I'm glad we did it because now I have a level porch. After we had a level area, we began cutting our 4x6 deck beams. You'll notice throughout this video that I've used a combination of wood types. For the most part, I wanted to use cedar, but it's really expensive. So I used treated wood in the exposed structural areas, and I used regular old 2x4s to save money on the areas that would be covered by the roof panels. Salies was not a lot of help. She kept wanting to play fetch the whole time. She kept running underneath the porch. She's just a distraction for me. I just can't not pet her and play with her the whole time. That's all the screws up there, right?
No, there's 4.
So one of the saddest things about this whole build is that I had to remove the porch post that I've had on the house for about 3 years. So I found that porch post just happenstance as I was driving around in 2015. I found a beautiful piece of wood that was on the side of the road, and since it was a fallen piece of wood, I felt like that it was a sign that I could take it and it fit perfectly on my porch. It's not structural, it was just something that I really loved and something that was aging with the tiny house. But we needed a structural porch post for the extended porch that we were building. So I had to make a sacrifice, and that sacrifice was my beloved old porch post. And she didn't go easily either. We had to actually saw her off of the tiny house.
And you have to catch it too or it'll fall on your head.
I know. R.I.P. porch post. I miss you. Next, we cut our porch posts. This required some math to make sure that the roof would have a slight pitch, but wouldn't be too short that most people wouldn't bang their heads on the beams. Then we attached our posts to the deck beams and pier blocks. Salies, this video isn't about you. Next up, we cut the deck joists and blocking and attached the joists 16 inches on center. At this point, I could see the porch was finally starting to take shape. Finally, we were cutting the cedar decking. We used a jigsaw to trim around the porch posts and the fascia boards that were already on the tiny house. I love cutting cedar. It smells so good, and I keep all the scraps to burn later in my wood stove. This porch is a separate structure from the tiny house, so it's not actually attached, but we wanted to make sure it would be as flush as possible. We attached the decking, which took no time at all, and by nighttime of the second day, which came around 4 p.m. in winter, I officially had a porch. The next morning, we were back at it, and so was Salies. One of the farm owners, Jake, actually helped out with the build. He helped us build the stairs on the front and back of the porch. It's always great when you can get a little bit of a community build going on. I did a lot of that when I was building the tiny house. If you've been following me that long, you might remember I did the BBQs, which was the build, beer, and barbecue in that order. And yeah, it's always fun when you can get friends and community members involved in your build.
Do your gun thing after you're done.
We began attaching the roof beams using Simpson hardware. This took way longer than it should have due to my butterfinger syndrome. So it turns out, I'm a bit of a klutz. I can't seem to do anything right. Once we were sure that we were square, we began placing our 2x4 joists at 24 inches on center. Nabil did a lot of the work on the trellis because he's so tall. It was just so much easier for him. I mean, I was happy filming and playing with Salies. We also cut and attached 3 1x4s, which would be used later for attaching our polycarb roof panels. At the end of day 3, Nabil tested the strength of our work. Oh, here he goes. It took us about 3 days to construct the porch and the trellis. We didn't get to the roofing because of weather and because I was waiting on the roofing panels. So for a while, I just had a porch without a roof, which was great, but oh gosh, it's winter here in Washington. It rains a lot. I really needed the cover. A few weeks later, we obtained the roof panels. I was lucky that the panels came in 8-foot lengths, which fit perfectly on my deck. I bought 6 panels, and I didn't need to cut them at all, aside from a few notches. For the roofing panels, we actually had to notch them out a few times just to get around some of the trim on the tiny house. And in order to do that, we would normally use tin snips, but in this case we didn't have any, so we used garden shears. It worked. I went with the semi-clear panels. They're actually just like slightly tinted because I thought that would be a great way to let light in on the porch. I was a little hesitant because I'm afraid of all the debris from the trees around falling on it and it getting really dirty and it being just a huge task for me to clean it off all the time. But I've loved it so far. It's really increased the amount of light that I have on that porch, so I think it was the right decision to make. Because my roofing is ribbed, we also purchased the wood spacers that line up with the panels. You can see Nabil placing them here. So Nabil, who can actually reach the roof on our little step ladder, is screwing in the roof panels now. The height comes in handy at this point, right, Nabil?
Always.
Always? Didn't you just hit your head when you went inside the front door?
I did. That hurt a lot.
Okay, it doesn't always come in handy in a tiny house. It's impossible to film with Salies right now. Look at her. She's just putting her butt in my face. It's like obnoxious. Stop it. Get your butt out of here. favorite things about the porch is the lights that I got. I love them because they can change colors, they are controlled by my smartphone, they can be put on a timer. So the majority of the year I'm going to use the tungsten balanced, just regular, you know, warm white color light. But during Christmas or maybe during a Seahawks game, I might change the colors just to put a little flair out there. The porch was a lot more expensive than I originally thought it was going to be. It cost me about $2,000 in materials. I haven't upgraded this house in 5 years, except for like buying new sheets and pillows and a couple small things. So as a homeowner, I think that it's a small price to pay. And I extended my house another 60 square feet. So hey, I no longer have a 165 square foot tiny house. I have a 225 square foot tiny house. At least that's what it feels like. One thing I really love about what the porch has done is we've created an entranceway. It's always been kind of awkward that the front door of my tiny house is on the back of the trailer. So when you back in the trailer to a parking spot, you end up having the tongue side of your trailer facing the parking lot. So when people come up to it, they don't see the doorway. They're like, how do we get into this thing? They have to walk around the house to find the door. Well, the staircase and the porch itself sort of leads people to my front door. So I think it's really an improvement of an entryway, if nothing else. I also included a staircase at the front of the porch. The idea is that maybe in the future I'll put a barbecue out there or a fire pit. I might hang some hammocks and just sort of make that into a nice little oasis. Another thing I've noticed, my house is cleaner now. I've enforced a no-shoe policy. Since there's a big enough porch, you can take your shoes off outside, store them outside, so no one ever wears shoes in here. Oh my god, game changer! I mean, I always knew that if you didn't wear shoes inside, it would be cleaner, but that was just really too difficult with my little 2x2 foot porch. Now I have a spot for shoes outside on the porch, and my life has changed. Everything is awesome. It didn't really solve the problem of Salies tracking in mud though. What can you do about a dog? I mean, can you train her to wipe her paws? If you know how to train a dog to wipe their paws, you just put that video down in the comments right now, because I need to see that. I just do my best. I wipe off her paws. Sometimes she tracks in mud. I have to clean it up, but you know, it's kind of part of having a dog. It feels so good already that I can just go outside and enjoy my coffee in the morning, look out in the beautiful forest that I have in my front yard. It's amazing. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a little piece of my lifestyle and how I'm expanding my space. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get a notification about my next tiny house or travel video.